Today we will talk about One Belt One Road initiative. For One Belt One Road information, it is launched in 2013, targeted on improving and creating new trading routes and links and business opportunities. It covers across over 60 countries across Asia, the Middle East, and Africa and Europe. It accounts for 60% of the world's population and collective GDP, nearly 33% of the world's wealth, and costs more than $890 billion US for the development. The OBOR are separated into two parts, the land routes and the sea routes. First, the Silk Economic Belt, One Belt, is a land-based route connecting China with Central Asia, Eastern and Western Europe. For the sea route, One Road, sea routes from China's coast to South China Sea, Indian Sea, South Pacific to Europe areas, building major efficient transportation sea routes between China, Indian Ocean, Southeast Asia, and Middle East Africa. These are the 6 main economic corridors linking different countries.
Thank you, Simon. Now I'll be analysing the positive impacts of the OBOR initiative. Firstly, infrastructure upgrades will boost the OBOR countries' industrial productivity and living standards. This will enhance the country's attractiveness for foreign investment and streamline its economic activities. A prime example of this is Pakistan. Due to the country's severe power shortage, its annual GDP has reduced about 2 to 2.5%. China has invested US $46 billion into infrastructure development in Pakistan. A majority of energy projects are underway, which will provide 16,400 megawatts of electricity and bring Pakistan's energy crisis to an end. Similarly, MNEs like General Electric and Sinamac are implementing energy solutions to solve Africa's power problem. By 2030, the project is expected to add 102 megawatts of capacity to Kenyan national power grid and produce 2,036 megawatts of wind power. Facilitating international trade is another positive impact of OBOR. Transport efficiency is the first factor of this, as the OBOR reduces transportation costs and lead time. Most recently, China's Dongfeng Automobile Company was able to reduce shipping time to France by nearly 20 days by using the China-Europe freight train route. The other two factors are tax benefits. For example, the Sino-Russia DTA lowered tax rates on royalties and interest, and a streamlined custom process, so countries that are certified by the authorized economic operators can benefit from efficient customs clearance. OBR positively impacts international finance due to its role in enhancing the coordination in monetary circulation and currency exchange, encouraging strong financial cooperation between countries, and giving a much-needed boost to infrastructure investment in less developed countries.
Despite of various studies and research have supported the One Belt One Road is an intense and beneficial project. However, there are some drawbacks in different views. The Chinese government and Indian government have disputes on the territorial issue, and China has been urging its presence in the north of India, which significantly influenced the relationship in between. For the One Belt One Road project, there are some future partnerships and projects will be progressing mutually. On the other side, it is suspected that the Chinese government may have restricted its cooperation with India by engaging other surrounding countries, but India will be taking a unique role in promoting the networks between East and North. The second thing we want to point out is the overcapacity of the industries. The Chinese manufacturing market is fluctuated and the demand of the corresponding products is relatively low. The products are being overproduced for profit, and there are so many imported countries benefit with its production with competitive prices. From another view, the Chinese manufacturers are making huge losses due to the lack of demands. Conducive to increase the efficiency of planning and developing, the Chinese businesses usually shift the typical Chinese model into other countries, so the local communities do not take much contributions on it and the unemployment rate will remain high. This is because the skills and the experience are not delivered, and families into Chinese farmers is getting famous, and it will potentially create another territorial issue in the future. The EU and US have been having a good relationship for a long time. However, it is suspected that China wished to divide the EU between East and West. If it succeeds, the relationships between US and the EU will be deteriorated. As the rising manpower in the future, China may penetrate its international status through the One Belt and Road project, which will lead three of the largest economy sectors running individually. And now my group mate is going to talk about the risk.
China's motivation to fulfill Obor will enable greater trust and cooperation between the EU, Africa and the USA, ensuring future cohesion and a more peaceful synergy between all of them. Reducing international conflict will result in smoother political relations and will create a positive economic momentum and dynamic for China. Now, China has been considered as a global industrial hub since more than 2 decades, responsible for the operations, the supply and the value chain of most of the world's businesses. Nevertheless, through the Obor project, they are trying to slowly move away from that. This project is part of a crucial transition and economic transformation from a fully industrial to a more service-based economy. But how are they going to do that? First of all, China is working on changing their external image through the implementation of new international policies, by focusing on global relations and affairs and by showing a changing attitude towards social concern that used to hinder their reputation on an international scale. By working on their external image, China will be able to create internal opportunities and value and enhance business opportunities for Chinese firms, both state-owned and private. For instance, companies such as Sany Group or Huawei are having deals to work on local but also overseas infrastructural projects directly related to Obor. However, such projects do not come without risks, and this is why heavy risk assessment strategies must be considered in order to ensure its success. I let Pratna take you through it.
Coming to the issue of risk assessment, it is crucial for the Chinese government to quantify risk in order to make an accurate estimation of business profitability. Given the massive size and scale of this project, it is bound to bring with it a considerable degree of financial risk. Regarding the huge capital investment, the cost as estimated by the Asian Development Bank is $1.5 trillion per year till 2030. The Chinese government must take steps to reduce the risk impact of this investment by implementing systematic risk evaluation systems. Research has shown that even countries in similar regions have significantly different credit ratings. For example, this is so in the case of Myanmar and Thailand. The second financial consideration is the pressure put on the Chinese banking sector for facilitating the necessary credit requirements. If the project meets with any failure, the state could incur billions of dollars in non-performing loans as debt. This risk is exaggerated in case of volatile countries, and China has already faced loan-related problems in countries like Zimbabwe, Venezuela and Myanmar. In effort to combat these risks, China's Development Commission announced its plans to prevent irrational investment. Moving on to the political risk of the Obor project, the political instability in developing countries have the potential to negatively impact the outcome of a deal. For instance, in the case of Sri Lanka, post the 2015 election, a $1.4 billion port project which was promised by the former government has been suspended. China can consider forming an expert advisory group of political analysts to tackle these issues. There are also other concerns in volatile nations. Take for example Pakistan, where despite the fact that 13,000 troops have been deployed, there remain security concerns since the Chinese-Pakistan economic corridor passes through hostile tribal regions. Moreover, these countries may also face other problems such as currency volatility. Moving on, a world post-Obor would likely be different in two significant ways. First, there would be a considerable impact on international trade and relations. From China's perspective, the two critical partnerships are the China-Eurasian Economic Union Free Trade Agreement and China's partnership with the Middle East. The European route would facilitate the movement of Chinese goods at duty-free rates to the European Union, and China's cooperation with the Middle East is likely to result in the establishment of a free trade area between China and the Gulf Cooperation Council. Lastly, coming to China's position post-Obor, it must be noted that this initiative cannot merely be studied as an economic project. China has strategic foreign policy goals, that is, to be a United States parallel in the Asian region. Further, the idea of benevolent leadership is found in Confucianist philosophy, and it may be said that China is taking a lead to the shift of the world to a multicultural international system.
Now I will talk about the conclusion of the OBR. There are some positive impacts, such as the enhancement in economy, international trading, and the money and the financial circulation. And for the negative impact, including the geographical rivalry, several economic concerns such as the overcapacity of the industry, financial burden, and other consequences, including immigrant issue or change of the political landscape. And there are different risks such as the financial, political, legal, and social or cultural. And for our future outlook, the transportation of the goods and services, information and technologies will flow freely among the OBOR, and China will have more power between the region because of the OBOR setup.